Hey, my brothers. Um, During the hangout, we were talking about Meghan Markle and the wedding and Prince Harry. Even though I had done something previously on it, because we were comparing Meghan Markle, I think, to Serena Williams. I think that was what it was. But the guys wanted me to do what I thought about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry from my perspective, which is a political perspective, and to me, it was obvious what it was because I saw where they went on vacation and what they were doing. But I thought I'd throw in a couple of articles to actually give it or shed more light onto the subject because I hear guys calling Prince Harry a simp and calling Prince Harry this, that, and the other. And I hear black women say Prince Harry chose a black woman because he fell in love and blah, 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 blah. And it's not exactly, well, anytime a royal gets married, it's political. And you can't believe the hype. You can't believe the press that they actually put in front of you. But I'm going to read these stories and I'll be back on the other side to give my analysis and explanation. Commonwealth Summit. Can Britain still shape the world post-Brexit? International trade is firmly on the agenda as the group of 53 disparate nations meet in London. Any 80-year-old institution based on the contours of a defunct 19th century empire and largely held together by the charming drive of a 91-year-old woman is going to struggle to prove its modern relevance. Described once in the New Statesman by James Fenton as one of the world's least obnoxious institutions, the Commonwealth can probably only ever aspire to faint praise. In an already overcrowded schedule of diplomatic summits, this is often seen as the zombie summit, a biennial gathering of whimsy that refuses to die. Not surprisingly, the task of finding a thematic rationale for a Commonwealth summit of 53 nations, the first to be held in the UK since 1997. 1997 was right after the UK joined the EU. Keep that in mind. Is not simple. The 70-strong Cabinet Office unit, which planned the summit's welcome, chose the theme of our common future and of welcome. Unfortunately, a sequence of decisions taken by the UK Border Force and former Home Secretary Theresa May on Commonwealth citizens up to 5 years earlier meant the headlines in the run-up to the summit were chiefly about rejection. The true motive of the British Prime Minister, it seemed, had been to create a hostile environment for Commonwealth citizens and to remove what they had assumed were unchallengeable rights. As PR disasters go, they rarely come much worse. Her Majesty was probably not amused. But the May team has worked hard to get the summit's agenda back on track by the time the heads of government convened for the first time on Thursday morning at Buckingham Palace. Some ministers have long seen the summit as the moment to show that Britain can still shape the world after Brexit, partly by renewing old colonial friendship left untended during the years of the European Union membership. Keep that in mind. For many Eurosceptics, the discussion of a group of countries with Britain at its heart is an alternative to the EU has dominated thinking since 2010. UKIP presented itself as the party of the Commonwealth in the general election of that year, arguing for a Commonwealth free trade area. In its 2015 manifesto, it explicitly argued that the UK was part of a global community called the Anglosphere. Such ideas also attracted Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson has been against the Commonwealth. Now, Foreign Secretary, who on a trip to Australia in 2013 said the UK had betrayed the Commonwealth when it joined the EEC in 1973, suggesting a free labor mobility zone with Australia. Former colonial territories such as India, Singapore, Hong Kong could be embraced as part of an Anglosphere constellation, enabling Britain to exploit its past to strike new trade deals with the markets of the future, proponents argue. By the time of the EU referendum, these growing free trade markets were regularly offered as a ready alternative to declining Europe. This need to rejuvenate the Commonwealth as a trading bloc a point referenced by the Queen in her opening address, led to an effort to persuade India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to end a decade of indifference to the Commonwealth and personally attend the summit. Yet Foreign Office ministers have told the British government not to push the Brexit agenda too far. Many Commonwealth leaders do not welcome being a part of an internal British dispute. Some, including the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, vocally oppose Britain's departure from the EU. Smaller countries in the Commonwealth, meanwhile, fear losing a powerful advocate in the EU, knowing they now have to settle for Malta and Cyprus as their new Commonwealth champions in Brussels. Few will also give the impression they will be soft touches in free trade negotiations or returning to the era of imperial trade favoring Britain. In a run-up session to the summit, the Indian Deputy High Commissioner Dinesh Patnaik said the elephant in the room was that the Commonwealth countries such as India would only agree trade deals if they also included an agreement on the removal of the restrictions on the free flow of people, without which free trade would likely have little impact. For most British industrialists, the EU remains the cornerstone for UK trade, representing 50% of the Britain's trade versus 9% that goes to the Commonwealth countries. The summit is driven by four broad themes: a future that is fairer, more secure, more prosperous, and shared. In many of the sessions for young people, women, and business that preceded Thursday's main summit, ideas, innovation, and projects were exchanged by often inspiring speakers, all buoyed by the news of an occasional HMG grant or a visit of a glamorous royal such as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Laudable announcements on cybercrime, malaria, plastics, free speech, ocean governance, and 12 years education for girls added to the sense that this is at best a disparate development summit in search of a theme. But hearing an authoritative David Cameron speak on Tuesday at Chatham House about how summits can be worthwhile if they're driven by a clear agenda, such as the fight against corruption, served to remind those listening that, including some labor frontbenchers, of this summit's drawbacks. Cameron, whatever his faults, takes issue of aid, trade, and development seriously. By contrast, the current Prime Minister, unlike the royal family, has yet to show the same enthusiasm. With the Queen unlikely to attend another summit since her overseas travel has ended, the onus is on Prince Charles to keep the show on the road is immense. And that is from The Guardian, April 19, 2018. This is from Vanity Fair. Meghan Markle chooses her first royal job. And if you paid attention to her wedding veil, it should come as no surprise. She has only been a member of what Prince Philip calls the firm for 3 days, but Meghan Markle is already preparing for her role as a working royal. Sources at the Queen's Commonwealth Trust, of which Harry is the president, have told Vanity Fair that Meghan plans to start working with the organization imminently. It will be announced any day, the source said. It's going to be one of the first official roles Meghan takes on. There have already been talks, and when Meghan was asked when she wanted to get involved, she replied May 20th. In other words, the day after she got married. The role would fit with the couple's ambitions to focus their efforts within the Commonwealth countries and realms, where they would particularly like to put the spotlight on young people. The Queen's Commonwealth Trust works to provide a small loans and funding to young people throughout the Commonwealth who are leading their own nonprofits or otherwise embarking on projects that serve the greater good. The palace spokesman confirmed the news. The Duchess will be involved in supporting their work. At last month's Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, Meghan attended 2 key events: a youth forum reception and a meeting about women's empowerment. another area of interest to the former actress and activist. On her recently posted biography on the royal family's official website, Meghan is quoted as saying, "I am proud to be a woman and a feminist." Just to drive home the point, the text is highlighted in bold. Upon their marriage, Meghan, who walked part of the way down the aisle at St. George's Chapel by herself, became a patron of the Royal Foundation, Prince William, Harry, and Kate's charitable forum. When she attended the foundation's annual meeting earlier this year, the charity's chief executive, Lorraine Heggessy, said that Meghan's future charitable role was a work in progress and being discussed at the time. Meghan's goal to focus on the Commonwealth was even represented in her 5-meter wedding veil, which was embroidered with floral emblems of the 53 Commonwealth countries. Aides say Meghan will take her time before agreeing to commit herself to any patronages and wants to find her feet first. On a newly posted biography on the royal website, Meghan is described as having a lifelong commitment to social justice and women's empowerment, and a keen awareness of social issues. How plain can this be? I told you guys from the very beginning that this is a political marriage. Everybody always, I say 99% of these folks look at this as a social event. He is not in love. He is not in love with this woman. This woman has a role to play. If it wasn't for Brexit, if they didn't have to kind of reignite the Commonwealth that they've ignored for, 20 years or more? Actually, more than that. They've ignored it for 20 years or more. And now that the European Union is not working out like they thought it would, now they got to find another home, another nest to roost, another trading block. And they have to compete against the Chinese and the other global South partners. I knew something was up when I first looked at them being engaged and found out they were on, where did they go on tour, on vacation? They went to Africa. They went to India. They went to other places on the globe that was part of the Commonwealth. 53 symbols embroidered into her veil. Right after the heads of the Commonwealth met the month before, where she spoke, and Prince Harry spoke. And this is Prince Harry's baby. He's supposed to save the Commonwealth for the Crown and for England, for the UK. I always tell my guys, stop being fucking sheep and be shepherds. I told you from the very beginning, well, Prince Harry's a simp because she was married and before and she's had several boyfriends and blah, blah. It doesn't mean squat to the crown. Doesn't mean squat. She has a political role to play. Now, I don't know what the negotiations were before when they were getting married, but I'm sure she took him up on it. I'm sure they sat down and talked about it. And they had to get her okay before she was allowed to marry the dude. Things do not happen with royals in a vacuum. All marriages are political with the royals. All of them. They don't marry willy-nilly like we do. She's supposed to be a dog whistle for black women all over the globe. Pretty little Meghan Markle, with her little half-white self, is supposed to represent all women of color in the Commonwealth market, which the UK has to get the band back together if it's going to survive its Brexit foolishness. If they can't reignite the Commonwealth, they have no place to go. And they're going to have to be either begging on the inside or the outside of Brexit, of the EU. There's other articles I might do on this. I saw a couple of more articles on this that I might do, but I'm not sure how much traction it will get. I'll think about it. I just wanted to do this because people look at these kind of events like they're entertainment. They look at the royal wedding like it's entertainment. It's not entertainment, especially this one. Oh, he picked Meghan Markle because he likes black women and he feels so in love and blah, blah. Get the fuck out of here. Stop listening to these stupid black women and their fantasies, okay? Stop listening to these stupid black women. They can't think 2 steps away from their pussy. Women think their pussy rules the world, and it does not. And what I can't believe is my guys are dumb enough to believe that this is not a political wedding. Come on, you guys. I've been with you for 2 years. You should be smarter than this. I swear to God, y'all should be smarter than this. Y'all should have seen this coming. This is like a big old fat hanging curveball down the middle of the plate. You should have smacked this out of Candlestick Park and out into the bay. They should be swimming for this baseball as we speak because it was such a big, fat, slow hanging curveball. We had the time to gear up, scrunch up, and take a long, hard swing because it was so fat and juicy. Come on. It's obvious. It's a dog whistle, as Cerulean would put it. It's a freaking dog whistle. And it's so obvious. It's so doggone obvious. It's almost silly, but it is what it is. But believe it or not, the silliest, most obvious things actually work. And apparently it has. You had black women getting up at, good God, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning to see what they think of as a black woman get married to this pasty Nazi white dude. Okay? Let's get real. Anyway, I'm going to jump off of here. This is BGS out, and I will see you guys on the next one.